Crank up the volume and get ready for real-world bird hunting by listening to the Wingmen podcast by Eastmans. Now your host, Todd Helms.
This episode of the Wingmen podcast is brought to you by Leupold Optics. You know, I've been running Leupold Optics for a long time on the big game side of things, and I love the performance and the quality of that brand. But when Leupold brought performance eyewear into the mix a couple of years ago, I thought I'd seen it all, but I was wrong. That performance eyewear from Leupold keeps my eyes protected. It helps me with my target acquisition with a crisp, clear sight picture. And guys, I got to be honest with you, I'm stoked to be partnered with a company like Leupold. So for all your optics needs, give Leupold a look.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Wingmen podcast. And I'm your host, Todd Helms, as you probably already know. And today we're going to talk about the life of a family dog that hunts. I got a little bit of a cold right now. That's why I sound a little raspy. So you'll have to forgive me on that. But guys, before we get jumped into this, I would love it if you made sure that you gave us a like on this or a comment or a rating on this podcast. That interaction really helps us produce more content. It helps get this podcast served in the algorithms and in the RSS feeds, and it helps us make sure that we can bring you awesome content like this all the time. I also want to give out a quick shout out to my partners. I want to thank Weatherby. I want to thank Kryptek. I want to thank Federal Premium, Leupold, and Mountain Seasonings. Guys, all of these companies are hunter-oriented, and they produce awesome products that if you're in the market for anything that they make, I would strongly encourage that you support them as they support us and help us bring you content like this. So, the life of a family dog that hunts. I'm down to one dog right now. As you guys, a lot of you who listen regularly know, I have Hondo in the house. We do have plans for a puppy in the future, but right now we've got one dog. And as you can figure, we're creeping up on the end of May right now. I'm recording this right before Memorial Day weekend. And to be very frank, the amount of training that I'm doing with Hondo, and what I mean by that is formal training that I'm doing with Hondo right now, is minimal. I'm not out grinding with him on drills every single day this time of year. My life is too busy to do that. And that may sound like an excuse to some folks, but I have a very busy, very demanding career here with Wingmen and Eastmans Hunting Journals. And couple that with my kids being at the age where my two daughters are involved in sports almost nightly throughout the week. And on the weekends, we like to try to fit in as much family time as we possibly can. So I'm going to break down exactly my approach to what giving Hondo an enriching, fulfilling life looks like while maintaining basic obedience, manners, and steadiness. It's amazing to me how I've found ways to work in training into everyday scenarios, both around the house and out on the activities that we're doing this time of year. And I honestly feel like those manners and steadiness and socialization don't ever end. You're constantly working on those things with a dog, and how just simple they can be to work into your everyday life. Now, my hardcore training with Hondo will definitely ramp up in the coming months. June, July, and August, and even in September, I am drilling down and I am going all in on honing the skills that he's a little rusty on. I am fine-tuning some of the areas where he's consistently weak. Dogs are like us, guys. They have things they're really good at and things that they always need to be working on. And I've identified those. Hondo's 4 now. And I've identified some things in him that we continually need to be working on and brushing up on. And in the summer months, man, I will be drilling down deep and hard on those. I'll be working with Josh Lancaster of Red Flats Retrievers to really dial in Hondo and make him solid when it comes to when it comes time to hunt in October and November, December, January, and into February. Honestly, guys, your dog, I get to hunt more than a lot of people do. I think most people would probably be lucky if they hunt 5 to 10 days a year, 15 to 20 being tops, max. Now, there's guides, there's people that just live for it. I have friends in the South that literally have their life set up, so when duck season rolls around, they do nothing but hunt. They've got themselves set up in careers or with occupations that have slowed down or completely shut down during duck season, and that's great. But the reality is that's a small, minute minority of waterfowl hunters and bird hunters. Obviously, for me with Hondo, I like to keep him physically fit. Pardon me. That works for me as well. I would be lying if I said that I'm super diligent about my physical fitness year round. It's kind of like it ebbs and flows. I kind of treat it like back when I was playing high school sports, and football in particular. There's a season, and I ramp up my training before season and then maintain it into season. Now, physical fitness for me for my bird hunting, waterfowl in particular, isn't a super high priority, but because of what I do with Eastman's hunting journals, I need to have a pretty high level of physical fitness. It doesn't mean I'm some CrossFit star or bodybuilder. That's changed and gone over the years, but I try to focus on being able to carry weight over long distances for a long period of time. That's what I'm doing in the fall when I'm hunting Western big game. What that looks like this time of year is me getting out with a heavy backpack on 3-4 days a week for at least 35 to 40 minutes at a crack. Well, let me say 30 to 45 minutes at a crack. And then usually once a week, really super heavy pack in that 100-pound range for as long as I can tote it and as far as I can tote it, which usually I try to shoot for 45 minutes to an hour or an hour and a half. Where I'm going with that, those hikes, those walks, that rucking are perfect times to get Hondo out. Get him out away from the house, get him in stimulating environments, whether I've got him leashed up and I'm walking around town in the morning before work and he's bumping into maybe other dogs and other people out walking, or just sniffing around as we're going and working on his leash manners, working on his steadiness and being calm and collected, and, working on his heel. All of those things I can work on while I'm getting a workout and he's getting a little exercise too. Now, when it comes to really exercising him, I'd like to get out of town and get in some terrain and some country where I can let him run off leash. We are blessed here, and we have lots of places where I can let Hondo run off leash. He's great about constantly checking in, but I always have my whistle and usually my e-collar engaged and ready to go in case he needs a little bit of a reminder. Hey, bud, you're getting a little too far. You need to come back. I also, while I'm doing that, I'll make him heel. I'll make him sit, and I'll walk away from him for, a couple hundred yards, and then I'll heel him up again. All of these things are reinforcing steadiness. They're reinforcing obedience. And if I go out and in an hour, I do 4 miles with a heavy pack on, Hondo's done at least double of that. And I'm obviously, guys, I'm doing this in a place where it's safe for me to do this. Some of you don't have that opportunity. Your dog needs to be on a lead more often than not. But whenever you can, look for the opportunity to run your dog. I don't necessarily like to road Hondo. He's super fast, he's super athletic, and he can go for a long ways. And in a pinch, I will road him with my vehicle. If I don't have a lot of time and he's got a boundless amount of energy, we'll go out and we'll road for 30 minutes. But I like to incorporate him into my rucking and my fitness program that I'm doing. Again, I honestly feel like that is realistic training for him this time of year. I don't have the time in my schedule, as I said earlier, to just devote to going out and doing drills with him every single day. I think a lot of you probably fall into this boat, guys. We're not professional dog trainers. We're not, we have busy lives. We have busy schedules. Our dogs are a part of that. They're a part of who we are. They're a part of our life. They're not our whole life. Do not feel bad about that. Do not feel shamed by what you see on social media about guys that devote all of their time to their dogs, because I guarantee you this, if they're devoting all of their time to their dog, there's other aspects of their life that are lacking. Maybe it's their marriage, maybe it's their family, maybe it's their careers. I don't know. But whenever you drill down and focus too hotly and intently on one thing, other things get left in the dust. That's not who I am. That is not the kind of life that I want to be. That's not the husband I want to be or the daddy that I want to be. Hondo is a part of those things. In our house, he's number 6. My wife being first, my kids being, my wife being first, my kids being second, third, and fourth, not in that order, and Hondo somewhere down that line. That doesn't mean I don't love him. That doesn't mean I'm neglecting him. That doesn't mean he's kenneled up all day long. He gets free range. We're blessed. We have a big backyard. He gets free roam of that backyard all day long. Hondo gets lots of exercise. I love to throw bumpers after work for him for 15 minutes. We do a lot of wind sprints in the backyard. Helps keep his conditioning up, helps burn off some of that extra energy that he has, and helps make him a good citizen. And it reinforces steadiness at heel. He's got a weight, his hold, all those little things that you can work into the daily grind of your life without feeling bad about that I'm not working my dog enough. Because, man, I've been there, guys. I've felt that pressure where I had all these career responsibilities and family responsibilities, and I felt so terrible and guilty that I didn't feel like I was putting enough time into my dogs. I'm talking about Mackinac in particular. We had babies. Mackinac was a dog we raised our babies around, and life's crazy, and I just didn't have enough time. Thankfully, I'd put the time in early in our marriage when I first gotten Mackinac, that he had a really solid skill set. I'd set him up for success throughout his life, and he was super smart. Hondo's really similar. I busted my butt, as you guys know and have seen in the videos and other podcasts, about creating a solid foundation for Hondo. And I'm not going to preach so much about when you bring a puppy into the house, what that should look like. There's other podcasts, there's videos for that, and I've covered all of that stuff. There's processes for that. And you probably shouldn't be looking at getting a puppy if your life is complete chaos. If you don't have the time to drill down and dedicate to training that puppy, but with socialization and basic manners and obedience, you're gonna have struggles with that dog your whole life because you haven't been able to dedicate the time to it. That first part of a puppy's life is very labor intensive, and you really need to evaluate what kind of time you have and that you're going to be able to dedicate to training a puppy in that first year, especially that first year. If you aren't in a place in your life where you can dedicate a ton of time and focus to that, you might not want to get a puppy. You might wait until it's a better time. I see it a lot, guys. Obedience issues are the number one problem in hunting dogs, especially retrievers. If a dog doesn't have solid obedience, there's going to be a lot of other problems with that dog behaviorally in the field, and it's not going to do what you want it to do. And that starts from day one when they come in your house. So do yourself and your future dog a favor. If you don't have the time to dedicate to that, hold off until the timing is right. Don't jump in if you can't dedicate that time. So there's my PSA for you right there. But back to the topic of the life of a family dog that hunts. You know, what does a real world situation look like? Well, I just told you where my focus lies this time of year. Like, my kids have like a week left in school, and then our schedule opens up dramatically over the summer. And that's when my hardcore training is going to really ramp up with Hondo. And that works for the schedule. Again, Hondo is not priority number one in our house. There's a lot of other things that are more important than him. But there is coming a time in these coming weeks and months when I will be able to focus more intensity on him. But what does it look like right now? I just explained a little bit of fitness, a little bit of getting the dog out and getting them love and attention and getting them exposure. But there's more to it. Being creative in how you do these and how you utilize your dog or how you expose your dog to things, and work on heel and work on steadiness and work on manners and obedience. There's lots of ways you can incorporate that into your daily life. Let me give you a scenario, a little rundown of exactly what I did, my family and I did last weekend. Life's been crazy. It's been super busy. We had a Saturday where nothing was going on. And we did have some errands to run around town. And I live about a mile north of the little town that we live in. We needed to go to the hardware store. We're getting the lawn squared away this time of year. And there were some things I needed to get at the hardware store. Nothing that I needed my pickup for. And we needed a few things at the grocery store. So I told my wife, I said, why don't we walk? We all need some exercise, especially Hondo. Why don't we walk? Well, walking at heel or on a lead isn't necessarily great exercise for your dog. It's better than nothing. But what I meant by exercise is mental exercise as much as burning off a little bit of physical exercise. Walking was more important for my kids and my wife and I because we had stress from the week that we just needed to go for a walk. So we walked downtown. All told, we ended up doing about, 5 or 6 mile loop through town and then back home. It was rainy. It was a cool day. We put the rain gear on. I threw a backpack on. Excuse me. I've got one of those Yeti cooler backpacks, and I threw that on for getting stuff at the grocery store so I could keep milk cool, and I think we needed some milk and some cheese and a few other things. And then we just carried everything else in our hands. So we walked downtown. We met people walking on the sidewalks. It's the middle of the day, so there were other dogs out in their yards barking at Hondo and other dogs on leashes walking down the side of the road. And I demanded his full and complete attention at those times. I wasn't letting him just sniff and willy-nilly. He was on a lead, of course, and I was demanding of his obedience and his attention. It's good. It was great for him because he got out of the house, he got out of the backyard, he got some stimulus, he got a little exercise, and he got to experience some things that he normally doesn't do. Honestly, guys, we don't walk downtown all that often, so this was a new thing, and I was monitoring his behavior the entire time. Where's his stimulus level? Is he super ramped up? Is he calm? Is he excited? And honestly, he just took everything in stride. He performed awesome. He didn't pull on the lead. He didn't get real sniffy at all. Other dogs would be barking at him, and he just looked at them, and he was great. He was a perfect gentleman. We were able to take him into the hardware store with us, and that was phenomenal. Anytime you can take a dog into a social setting like that, where there's people that are, not everybody's a dog person. Not everybody wants to pet your dog, but a lot of people do, especially with a dog like Hondo. He's incredibly handsome and he's very gregarious. He likes people. And so I'm making him sit. I'm making him be good, making him mind and listen, making him walk at heel so he's not bumping into things or other people. And I did not allow him to just walk up randomly to people either. I kept him in check. And if somebody wanted to interact with him, I'd make him sit, and then they could come over. Control that situation. That's exactly what I did. It's no different than controlling a situation on a hunt where there's 4 or 5 other people in the blind, maybe a dog or another dog or two in a blind. Hondo has to be on point. He's got to be dialed in, and I demanded that in that hardware store as well. He got petted by, 10 different people, gave him some loving. And he was a gentleman. He was perfect. He was enthusiastic and nice, but he minded his manners at the same time. That was a phenomenal experience for him and us. And it was informal training. It wasn't fetching bumpers. It wasn't drills, but it was just as important as all of those. So think about that. Whenever you can incorporate your dog into your daily life and activities, do it. Do it. Here's the caveat to that. Dogs aren't welcome every place. Some places they are welcome, but probably shouldn't go. And other places, like the grocery store, I can't take my Labrador Retriever into the grocery store. It's a food place. Against the rules. So my wife sat outside with one of my children. The other 2 children came in the store with me, and she just hung out front on this wooden bench out in front of the grocery store with Hondo, and made him sit, made him mind, made him behave, and made him be patient, just like he would in a duck blind or a goose blind. And of course, there's people coming and going. Most people have errands and they're focused on what they're doing and they don't pay any attention to him. But as she said, as she told me when we finished up, and I was in there maybe 30 minutes, came out with the stuff we needed in the backpack, and it was time to go home. I said, "How'd he do?" And she said, "Oh, he was wonderful. He was mild-mannered and calm. He sat, he was patient. There was several people came up and asked if they could pet him, and he was a gentleman and nice and friendly the whole time. And it was great." As much as I wanted to get him exposure that day, and as much exposure as he got, the grocery store was not a place to take him into. Some private businesses are going to walk in the door, and it would behoove you to say, "Is it okay if I can bring my dog in here?" instead of just assuming, because some people have allergies. Some people don't want a dog in their place of business. Ask, and if they tell you no, don't get upset about it. Just be like, "Okay, not a problem." And in the case where we had somebody, one of us would have stayed outside. We did this at an art supply store after the grocery store. Same thing. Walked in, and the gal kind of looked at me, and I said, "Is it okay if he comes in?" And she said, we'd rather not have dogs in here. There's a lot of stuff that can get damaged and knocked over." And I said, "I completely understand. I'll wait outside." My wife went in with my oldest daughter. They got the things they needed, and it was no problem. As much as we would all like to take our dogs everywhere we can with us, knowing when to leave them at home is as important as taking them along. This goes into hunts. It goes into social gatherings, just life in general. We love our dogs, guys, but not everybody does, and you have to remember that. Not everybody's a fan of your dog. Not everybody wants to pet them. Not everybody wants a lab running up to them or straining at the end of a lead, sniffing their crotch or trying to get their attention. And they're like, You can read those people. Rein in your dog. Get them at heel. Keep them under control. We did run into that on the way home, there was a gal walking down the sidewalk, and she literally was like, you could read her body language that she was afraid of that dog, afraid of Hondo. Now, I know there's nothing to be afraid about my dog. She doesn't, and she was obviously very uncomfortable. So I heeled him up as tight as I could to me, and we got as far to our side of the sidewalk as we possibly could, and we walked by. I did not acknowledge her. I didn't say hi to her. We just walked by. And Hondo, reading my body language and my cues and looking at her, he wants to say hi, but I kept him tight. And we got to her, and I said, heel. And he stayed at heel, and he just kind of looked at her. He didn't strain her way. He didn't lunge at her or anything. And the situation was fine. It's good for him to understand that not every person that he runs across is going to pet him. Not every dog that he runs across is going to be friendly. He's got to be able to read and react to situations on the fly. And the more exposure, controlled exposure that I can give him, the more well-rounded of a dog he is going to be. That's the whole point of the life of a family dog that hunts. Lots of exposure to lots of different stimuli, all controlled, all with a focus of learning and making your dog obey, making your dog mind. All of those things pay dividends when it's time to go hunting. If you take a dog, if your dog just lives in a kennel at home all the time, or just you don't ever take them out anywhere, you just take them to train and take them home, and then they're pretty much shut up, or they just stay around the house and they never experience other dogs. They never really get to experience other people or other situations or scenarios or environments until they're on a hunt. You will have issues. 100% you will have issues. It may be in the form of a dog fight. It may be in the form of your dog not being comfortable with somebody they don't know. It may be in the form of your dog being very cautious and overly cautious and maybe scared because you put them into a new situation they're not comfortable in. I work really hard from the time my dogs are puppies until they pass away that they get lots of exposure to lots of things. I want them well-rounded, I want them confident, and I want them comfortable in their own skin. No different with my kids. I do the same thing with my kids. I apply those principles to Hondo as well. Now, back to, I've got some notes here. I'm just making sure. Other activities in the summer months. It's not just going for walks downtown or going for morning walks and that's it. I take Hondo everywhere it's feasible to take him. Again, guys, there's situations and places where you need to leave the dog at home. I can't stress that enough. But there's lots of times you could take him with. I think about fishing, camping, hiking, being out and about in just daily life. One of the things that we really do a lot of in these coming months is we camp and we fish. I fish not as much. It's like hunting. I don't fish as much as I'd like to, but I fish a lot. And if I can get Hondo on those trips or in my boat, he's there. One of the places I like to fish this time of year and into the summer months is a haven for grizzly bears. We live right outside of Yellowstone National Park, and one of the places I like to fish actually comes out of Yellowstone, and it's full of grizzly bears year-round. This time of year, they're especially thick in there because the snow hasn't melted off and they can't get up into the high elevation. Later in the summer, it's a little more rare to see them, but they're still around. I want Hondo to go run and play and get exercise and have fun, but when I'm fishing a run, I need him sitting on the bank behind me for two reasons. One, I'm focused on my fishing. I don't need to be worrying about where he is and what he's doing. Two, he is my grizzly bear protection. He's my grizzly bear early warning system. I wouldn't ask him to fight a grizzly bear, but if he barks or growls and lets me know that he smells, sees, or hears a bear, that helps me be safe in the woods. That helps me be safe with my family. Hondo is not just a hunting dog. He is a pet, but he's a pet with responsibilities. Mackinac understood that, took it incredibly seriously, and I actually, on 2 different elk hunts, had Mackinac along on a leash, and he warned us twice of grizzly bears. One, we didn't know the bear was there. He did, and then the bear popped out. We were ready. The other one, we were butchering a bull elk in the dark, and a grizzly bear came in on us. We couldn't see it. Mackinac could, and he started barking and growling, and then we located the bear, and it was like, okay, we need to finish up this task and get out of here. And if I would not have had Mackinac along on that, who knows what would have happened. So where I live, my dog is more than just a hunting tool. He is a companion, a family companion. He's a pet. He's a hunting tool, a waterfowl hunting tool, but he's also a protector and an early warning system. By demanding those things of him or asking those things of him and making him sit and making him watch and be observant and calm, I'm reinforcing the skills that I'm looking for in a waterfowl hunting situation. All these little things come into play. It's all training. Granted, it might not be running ladder drills or working 400-yard blinds, but it's all training. And it is all beneficial to both me and Hondo. So I put him in a lot of various scenarios. We fish a lot. We camp a lot. When we're camping, he's expected not to roam. We usually disperse camp, so there's usually not people like in the next campsite 10 feet away. I don't like to camp like that. And so we usually camp in the national forest, and we're blessed that we can have dispersed camping in the areas where we live, meaning we don't have to use a campsite or a campground. And so I still expect Hondo to stay close. He can explore. Don't get me wrong, guys. I don't want to just have my thumb on him all the time, but I'm always paying attention to where he is and what he's doing. And I'm always whistling him back, bringing him back, making him sit, making him pay attention to what's going on around him. These are all skills that I rely upon during the hunting season. So, grand point. What's the grand point, Todd? You've talked a lot about different things that you're doing right now and into the summer months. Let's recap. Number 1, most important thing. Live a life your dog enjoys. Give them a life your dog enjoys. Take them places when it's feasible, but do it controlled. Demand their best behavior. Everything can be a training exercise if you look at it that way. Get them out. Get them active. Let them burn off the energy. Even if all you have time for is 15 minutes of bumpers in the backyard, do it. Do it. Take them on morning walks. Take them on evening walks. Get out. Get your dog places. Take them into the hardware store. Take them into places where you know you can have them. Never stop working on the socialization and the manners of your dog. 2, don't feel bad that you're not constantly digging down into hunt test style training drills, because guess what? That is not realistic for most people. I say most. There's going to be people listening to this that are going to get up in arms and be like, that's crap. If you can't give the dog this type of life, then you shouldn't have a dog. Maybe. I'm not that hard-nosed. My dogs are pets that hunt. I demand a lot out of them on hunts, and I put in the work to make sure they have the skill set that they need to be able to do the things I'm wanting them to do. But I don't demand it. I don't demand those drills. I don't run those year-round. I don't have time for that. There's other things in my life that demand my time, and honestly, quite frankly, that I want to give my time to, namely my family and my marriage. So, do as much as you can. Pick a season. As you're coming into June, July, August, September, some of you guys listening to this might not have seasons that open until November. You have a longer window to train. For me, the summer months when my kids are at home every day and not going to school, the summer months, there's a lot more flexibility in my schedule. That's when I'm going to dig deep. That's when I'm going to focus. I'm going to get together with my buddy Josh, my buddy Tyler. We're going to train dogs as often as we can, usually 2, 3, 4 days a week. That's when I'm going to focus that hardcore, very specific training. Everything else should be fun, controlled, and focused on socialization and manners, obedience, steadiness, heel, all that stuff. Those things are constantly going on. So guys, I hope that, I don't know, this just kind of hit me the other day. I was thinking about it and I thought, I want to record a podcast about this. I wrote a blog about it as well. That's why I have the computer in front of me. And because I feel like there's social media in particular just puts so much pressure on people in whatever that it is they're passionate about, whether it's their job, whether it's their family, whether it's training dogs, that you have to do it like this. You have to be just like this. You're only seeing snippets on social media, guys. You're only getting the highlights. It's a highlight reel. That's all it is. Yes, we do it here at Wingmen too, because we want to show you all the cool stuff that we do. Social media is aspirational, not a recipe for daily living. It's unrealistic and it's unattainable. Focus on the things that you can control. Enjoy every little minute you have with your dogs, because I look back at the life that I had with Mackinac, and he's gone. I can't get those days back. And I am so thankful that I focused on him, that I focused on his training. I'm so thankful that I'm being intentional about how I'm living with Hondo, about how I trained Hondo, and the little things that I do every single day. Guess what? You do that with your dog, it's going to carry over into other things as well. And you're going to give that dog the best life possible, and you're going to get the most enjoyment possible out of them. So, this was a topic that was near and dear to my heart, guys. Short and sweet solo podcast today. Again, huge shout out to my sponsors, Leupold, Federal, Weatherby, Kryptek, and Mountain Seasonings. Love you guys. Thank you for supporting what we do here. And thank you for tuning in and listening. Make sure, again, you recommend this podcast. Maybe share it with somebody if you liked it. Pardon me. Give us a review. Rate us. All those things help us bring you more awesome content like this. Guys, thank you for tuning into this solo episode of the Wingmen podcast. And until next time, as always, we'll see you in the field.